Hello everyone and welcome back to Alternative Apex Formula Equal here for round 10 of the 2025 season here in Canada for the Canadian Grand Prix at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. We have seen 9 events so far this season and we are just moments away from seeing the 10th of the season. It should be another absolutely enthralling event for us to enjoy here today, with the championship absolutely looking neck and neck at the moment. Verstappen is reeling in Lando Norris's lead, but can he catch today? That is the question. Norris started this season very strongly and continued to perform at the highest level, but it's been fair to say that Verstappen has looked the stronger over recent events. We'll have to wait and see if that form continues as we head to the starting grid for today's race here. The Canadian Grand Prix on pole position, it will be the one, the only Max Verstappen. As he continues his charge to try and reel in Lando Norris in the championship, he will be on pole position ahead of Lewis Hamilton there in the Ferrari, looking to try and get his second win of the season. Behind them, George Russell and Esteban Ocon, with Pierre Gasly and Oscar Piastri being the top McLaren in this race. Then it is Lance Stroll, Carlos Sainz, Charles Leclerc and Gabriel Bortoleto rounding out the top 10 on the grid. Lando Norris, championship leader, only 11th on the grid there, ahead of Oliver Behrman and Nico Hülkenberg. Andrea Kimi Antonelli down in 14th place, with Isaac Hadjar and Liam Lawson, the teammates, side by side in row 8. Franco Colapinto 17th, ahead of Fernando Alonso after disappointing qualifying for the Spaniard, with Yuki Tsunoda, Alexander Albon and Jack Doohan bring up the rear of the field here for today's race. So as I said, Verstappen has been in stronger form recently than Lando Norris, and that has continued into qualifying for this race. Norris, starting only 11th, will have his work cut out to try and keep himself right near the front of this championship fight. Whilst he should still lead off today, it is very much a question of how big will his lead be, because with Verstappen starting on pole position, you'd expect him to at least, at the very minimum, finish on the podium here, and Norris down 11th. You wouldn't expect too many points here unless you get some luck with a safety car. So this could be a very interesting day for the championship, and how it will look after today, we'll have to wait and see. The cars are on the grid then, and we are racing here for the Canadian Grand Prix. It's a good start from pole position. Max Verstappen immediately clearing to lead this race. Hamilton behind him, having to slot into second place. Side by side for the podium positions at the moment. It's Esteban Ocon for his second podium of the season, side by side with George Russell as they come out of turn 2 and up towards turns 3 and 4 now. You can see these two drivers absolutely side by side still as they get to the first of these tight chicanes. And it looks like Ocon gets the better of Russell through there. The Haas driver up into third position. Behind them now, you've got Pierre Gasly looking to try and take advantage of the Mercedes, which may well be on the back foot now as we head through the middle sector of the lap now for the first time today. Pierre Gasly trying to put some pressure on, but up at the front it is for now. Verstappen, Hamilton and Ocon in third position as the field streams their way through here. Norris still in 11th place, and as we can see there, it's a battle between the two racing bull cars as they head into the chicane. It's going to be side by side as they head through here. It's Lawson versus Hadjar as they slide their way through the corner exit. They're really causing a bit of a backing up of the pack behind them, as that's Franco Colapinto looking to try and make it free wide as they head into the hairpin here. That's a bold move from the Argentinian down the inside, still in search of his first points of the season here, as they're side by side on the exit, and it looks as though Lawson wins out on that battle. Hadjar drops down to 17th place there. The Frenchman, a poor start for him, but now Colapinto fighting back on the straight again as they head into the final chicane for the first time here today, and it is Max Verstappen that leads the Grand Prix, but Lewis Hamilton's attacking around the outside as they head into turn 1 of lap 2. They're side by side as they head now through turn 2. Verstappen trying to hold on to the lead of this race. Lewis Hamilton on his inside, Hamilton on mediums, Verstappen on hards. Could this tyre difference prove crucial as they head through turns 3 and 4 now? It's Hamilton who's going to take the lead of the Canadian Grand Prix, the man with just one win to his name so far this season, and overall I think it's fair to say a disappointing season so far for the 7-time world champion. He is on top now in Canada. He leads this race ahead of Verstappen and Ocon. Can Verstappen keep himself ahead of Ocon now? That will be key for this race and for his championship hopes, because for now at least, Verstappen, he can settle for a second. On a day when Norris is in 11th, P2 will be a very good result for him and strong points scored over his rival. Piastri in 6th place, the lead McLaren, not often we've seen that so far this season, as now we head towards the final chicane of the lap. We can see that's Esteban Ocon looking to try and make the move happen as they head towards the chicane, and Ocon, a little close call there between the two drivers. Ocon with the power of DRS cruises up into 2nd position. Verstappen on those hard tyres is struggling for grip out there, and it would appear that could be costly, as behind them you can see that's Lando Norris trying to get himself into the points here, racing with Gabriel Bortoleto. Now we can see Lance Stroll on the back of Oscar Piastri as they head towards the final chicane on lap number 4 of 18. Lance Stroll down the inside of the McLaren driver. This is not looking like it's going to be a good day for McLaren as things stand, as Lance Stroll gets up a position there. As now that's Pierre Gasly looking at the back of George Russell's car, the Mercedes. Another car on hard tyres. Seems like that is a tyre that is struggling to get up and running in this race. Norris now is into the top 10. As Verstappen now is on the back of Esteban Ocon after those tyres have started to wear out. They're going to be heading towards the final chicane here. Ocon on the inside line. Verstappen is going to come into the pits here. He's going to try something. He's going to go for the undercut here on his rivals ahead of him. So is George Russell. It appears those medium tyres starting to fall off for Ocon at least, because he was really backing them up there at the end of that first stint. Can it be a clean stop for Verstappen? It looks like it's going to be. No, he's going to get held by the Williams. That will just mean he comes out ahead of George Russell. But a little bit of time lost from both of those drivers should give Hamilton a bit more confidence that he'll come back out of this race in the lead of it. Ocon and Gasly come in behind as well here from these top 3 positions. Ocon will be more than happy with a good pit stop here as Hamilton gets held a little bit, and he's just about going to get out behind Pierre Gasly. That could be trouble left Hamilton as he comes out of the pit lane. Has that cost him any time? It has not, as in the meantime, Russell has got past Verstappen through the outlap there. Russell is now into second place. Can he get Ocon as well? He will. Russell from 4th to 2nd in the pit cycle. He's up into the podium places. Ocon maintaining 3rd place, but he'll be annoyed that he has lost that position to George Russell there. Russell looking stronger here in this second stint. He's gone to the mediums for this second stint of the race now as Ocon is going to stay on the back of him though. Ocon going to use that DRS, the powerful DRS. They head down the back straight and towards the chicane they go. Esteban Ocon is up back into second place here. He's looking on course for a very strong day here today as he's gone on to the hard compound tyres. So medium softs for Ocon, whereas it's gone hard medium for some of the others around him like Russell and Verstappen. As now you can see the battle at the back end of the points here. Norris is near the back of this train battling it out. Leclerc, Sainz, Piastri just ahead of him as they head into turn 1 once again here on lap 12 of 18. It's side by side here between the former teammates Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc. Out of turn 2 they climb. You can see these two drivers knowing that every point matters this season. Leclerc still yet to get a win this season. It has been a disappointing season for the Monegasque so far. It has been one really that he needs to work on with his teammate leading this Grand Prix at the moment. He has no excuses for being down there in 8th position as we've got a battle here for 2nd position. George Russell, as the soft tyres on Ocon's car have given up. It is Russell back up into the top 2 positions here, but Hamilton is still in his own postcode out front in this one, way ahead of his rivals as they head through turn 1 here. Russell has a big gap to try and reel in now as Ocon isn't going to give up on this fight just yet. His tyres may be a little worse for wear, but he's going to go down the inside as they head into the final chicane. That's not going to be able to make the move though. That line just not quite working for him as Pierre Gasly's looking at Max Verstappen now. Could Verstappen lose yet another place in this race? That would be starting to be a worry for him as Norris up into 9th place. Going to get at least 2 points from this race. Verstappen in 14th, in 4th, only scoring 12 at the moment as we see side by side here Leclerc down the inside of the McLaren as they head into turn 1. These are crucial battles for the team's championship as well here. Don't forget, Ferrari, McLaren and Red Bull all very much in that fight. And these two teams battling out side by side now. Leclerc looking to go all the way around the outside. Can he make it happen? Not quite able to do it. That is Oscar Piastri remaining in that 7th position. As we look back to the battle for the podium positions here. Ocon behind Russell. Will he be able to make the move happen this time? Verstappen trying to reel these two in, and if they battle, that could really leave them vulnerable to the Flying Dutchman behind as Russell covers off Ocon into the chicane. That was sort of a very questionable block there from George Russell. Something you'd see in a more sort of GT or NASCAR racing, less very much, not quite something you see in Formula 1 often, I think it's fair to say, as Ocon is staying in 3rd position for now, but Verstappen, indeed, with that battle ahead of him, has reeled right onto the back of them, as has Pierre Gasly here. But up at the front, a man on a mission here today in Canada, Lewis Hamilton, took the lead on lap 2 and has not looked back from it. A masterful strategy from him and his team have given him an enormous lead as they head down towards the final couple of corners for the final time here today. Lewis Hamilton is on course to take his 2nd win of the season as he heads out of the final corner and across the line. Lewis Hamilton wins the Canadian Grand Prix, win number 2 for the 7-time champ. George Russell is just going to hold on to 2nd place here, and Esteban Ocon gets his 2nd podium of the season. That Max Verstappen just missing out there, not quite the result he would have hoped for after starting on pole position, but still not a bad day at all in the championship fight. Ferrari celebrating that victory, no surprises there. That is a real boost to them in the team's championship hopes for them as a whole here. Leclerc battling with the McLarens in that race. The McLarens really did struggle in this race, it seems. Sonoda's Red Bull nowhere to be seen, as it has, it's fair to say, been on a few occasions this season. A little bit lost in the mid-pack. So it very much has been a day for Ferrari. Whilst it wasn't the 1-2 that we saw in Bahrain, it is still a very impressive haul of points from the Scuderia here, as Lewis Hamilton takes just his third podium of the season, Ocon takes his second, but George Russell taking his sixth podium of the season now means he is the driver with the second most podiums this season so far, only behind Lando Norris with 7, ahead of Verstappen with only 5, but Verstappen, it's worth saying, 4 of his 5 podiums have been race wins this season. George Russell still yet to win since the season opener, but with a couple of podiums to his name and a couple of second places to his name now in recent races, it is fair to say he's showing some signs of speed still in that Mercedes, although the championship is seemingly starting to drift away, although he has just barely clawed in a few points today. Here we have the official results, and Lewis Hamilton wins by 6.8 seconds over George Russell. A strong win for him, but Russell did actually get fastest lap in that one. Esteban Ocon in third place will be overjoyed with that result for him and his Haas team. Max Verstappen really should have been more for him today, going from pole to fourth position, not what he would have wanted, but still, as I've mentioned, points over his rivals in the championship. Pierre Gasly in fifth place, more points for the Alpine team, although, again, a good sign of speed from the Alpine team, yet to quite crack that battle for the podium though. Lance Stroll, very impressive drive from the Canadian in his home Grand Prix. Charles Leclerc 7th, Oscar Piastri in 8th. Lando Norris only 9th place there, with Carlos Sainz for Williams taking the final points paying position from this race here in Canada. As we now look towards the Drivers' Championship, Lando Norris' lead is now down to just 8 points here. We have Verstappen in second place. George Russell 41 points off the lead now. Has to be said, he's very much been a podium or nothing kind of driver this season so far. Of course, he did get that win at the start of the season, but aside from when he's been not finishing on the podium, it's been pretty much quite lousy results for the British driver. Lewis Hamilton, another driver who's had some really high highs this season with 2 wins to his name, but with only 94 points to his name, it's not quite looking like it's going to be a championship contending season for him, as he's equal in points with Leclerc, who has no wins this season, which shows how it's a variety of fortunes there for those drivers. Fernando Alonso drops back in that fight for the top 6 in the championship. He's now just ahead of his fellow Spaniard, Carlos Sainz. Oscar Piastri in 8th, ahead of Pierre Gasly, and Liam Lawson, the winner from Saudi Arabia, sitting just inside the top 10. Behind them, Yuki Tsunoda in 11th place, Esteban Ocon in 12th, there with a podium here today. 30 of his 34 points this season have come from his 2 podium finishes, which really shows how all or nothing that team have been this season. Albon just behind him, Hulkenberg, Stroll, Antonelli and Bortoletto, the point scorers so far this season in the Drivers' Championship. Over in the Constructors' Championship, the battle at the front has closed in dramatically here. McLaren with just an 18-point lead over Red Bull and a 19-point lead over Ferrari. This is looking very much like the freeway fight we were hoping for. Perhaps we would have wished Mercedes could have got in the mix, but it's not looking like that's going to be the case now, as they find themselves 89 points off the lead and actually much closer to the Williams and Aston Martin teams behind them than they are to the battle for the front of the Teams' Championship. McLaren still low, but a solid lead in that, but it's still, we know, with 2 cars scoring in this championship, an 18-point lead really can disappear quite quickly. The next race will be at the Red Bull Ring, so perhaps we could see Red Bull do something special at their home venue here. Ferrari, however, looking strong at the moment, but very inconsistent. Even if it's one of their drivers doing well in a race, the other one will struggle, and it's only that one time we saw that 1-2 in Bahrain that really any of the top teams have looked like they have dominated the race. So I do hope you enjoyed this event here in the Alternative Apex All Equal Series. Next time out, we'll be going to the Red Bull Ring, so I do hope you enjoyed today. Until next time, thank you for watching, and goodbye.